guys, I am Chakwa and I am back with Maths XYZ, and today we'll still be continuing with reduction formulas on trigonometry. So with reduction formula, as I've already mentioned from our last session, the most important thing that you must know is this Cartesian plane, of which from this side, from this axis is 0 degrees, this is 90, this is 180 degrees, and this is 270 degrees, and again this is 360. It completes the circle. Then from there, what you also need to know is about all student take care, which is cast. With this cast, the first quadrant, which is this one, it means that all trigonometric ratios are positive in the first quadrant. That means sine is positive, cos is positive, and tan is also positive in this quadrant. When we move to the second quadrant, which is this, the S quadrant, only sine is positive in this quadrant. And then the third quadrant, only tan is positive, and the fourth quadrant, only cos is positive. Then moving on, here we have 90 degrees minus theta, which is positive. And in the second quadrant, we have 90 plus theta, which is positive. And also in the second quadrant, we have 180 minus theta, which is positive. In the third quadrant, we have 180 plus theta and 270 minus theta, which is positive. And in the fourth quadrant, which is the last one, we have 270 plus theta and 360 minus theta. And also in the first quadrant, we also have 360 plus theta in the first quadrant. Another thing that you must also take into consideration is 90 plus or minus theta, which is found in the first, the second, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. The 90 plus or minus theta and 270 plus or minus theta are also called the cofunction of sine and cos. That means that if we have sine of 90 minus theta, the answer will be equals to cos theta, because they are the cofunction. Sine changes into cos and cos changes into sine. And another thing, in the fourth quadrant, we have also a negative theta, which is positive in the fourth quadrant. That means that if we have cos of negative angle, the answer will be positive cos theta. But then if we have sine of negative angle, the answer would be negative sine theta. And if we have tan of negative angle, the answer would be negative tan angle. Alright, then having done that, let's look at our first example and see how we can apply all this in an example. The example that we'll do won't be dealing with variables, we'll be dealing with real numbers. Alright, the first example, it says cos 300 minus sine 150. Alright, the first step that you must do, you must find numbers that when you add or subtract them, they must give you 300. Then with cos, the numbers that we can subtract, those numbers must have a relationship with 180, with 90, 180, 270 or 360. Then with 300, two numbers that can give us 300 when we add or subtract them. One is 360 minus 60, of which 360 we do have a relationship with 360 from the trigonometric of Cartesian plane. Because 360 minus theta, this 60, it stands for theta. In this situation, our 60 is a theta. And then when it comes to sine 150, we have minus sine of 150, two numbers that when we add or subtract them, they should give us 150. One of it is 180 minus 30. It's not always a compulsory that you must use a 360 minus 60. You can actually use 270 plus 30 for this case. It's still fine as well. And also for 150, you can still use a 90 plus 60 for this case. So it's still fine as long as it gives you the right answer. Alright, and then for this one, going forward, 360 minus theta, it's found on the fourth quadrant, of which also cos is found in that quadrant. That means that it's positive cos theta. But then our theta in this case is 60 degrees. That means that we have cos 60 here. Alright, and then going forward with minus 180 minus 30 degrees. 180 minus theta, of which theta in this case is 30 degrees, it's found on the second quadrant, of which also sine is found in that quadrant. Then for this one, it will be minus sine 30. Alright, then cos 60 according to special angles is 1 over 2 without any use of a calculator. Then minus sine 30, of which still according to special angles of trigonometry, it's also 1 over 2. That means that the answer is equals to 0. Alright, okay, let's do the very same example, but not using 360 minus 60 and not using 180 minus 30, and show you that still you can get the answer even if you use different numbers. Alright, then we have cos 300, of which 300 we can actually change it to be 270 plus 30. And then when it comes to sine of 150 is the same as saying 90 plus 60 for this one. And then let's start with cos of 270 plus 30. 270 plus theta is found on the fourth quadrant, of which also cos at that quadrant is positive. That means that the answer will be positive cos 30. But then it won't be positive cos 30 because 270 is also a it causes cos to be a cofunction. That means that our answer was cos has to change into sine, and then we will have positive sine 30. Alright? Then moving forward, 90 plus theta is found on the second quadrant, of which also sine is at that quadrant. But then because of 90 here, which is a cofunction, that means that sine has to change into cos. Then we'll have minus sine 60. Sorry guys, minus cos 60, I mean to say, because sine has to change into cos. Then from here, according to special angles, sine 30 is equals to 1 over 2 without any use of a calculator. And then cos 60, according to special angles, is also equals to 1 over 2. Still, our answer is equals to 0. You see that even if you use different numbers, as long as it gives you 100 when you add or subtract those numbers, and also that the numbers should have, it should be 90 plus something, 180 plus something, or 270 plus something, or 360 plus something, or minus. It depends on which numbers you have to use. You can still use, for this one, you can still use 360 minus 60 to give you 300, or you can still 270 plus 30, any number as long as it gives you 300 when you add or subtract the numbers, and also it should get you to the answer directly. Alright, let's do the second question. Alright guys, the second question that we'll do is sine of negative 60 multiplied by tan 270. Sorry guys, tan 210, sorry guys, this is 210 divided by a cos squared 135. Then with the first one, we know that a sine of negative theta is equals to negative sine theta. That means for the first one, we're going to have negative sine 60 multiplied by a tan of 180 plus 30 divided by cos into 180, 90. Actually, we can just use 90. 90 plus 45. Okay, and then here I call as negative sine 45 according to special angles is equals to negative root 3 over 2. That's the sine 60 with special angles, and then multiply by a tan of 180 plus 30. That means that we have positive tan 30 divided by a cos of 90. We're gonna have, because it's in the second quadrant, then the answer will be negative sine 45 and all squared. Alright, then from here we're gonna have root 3 over 2 multiplied by tan of 30 is equals to root 3 over 3 divided by a sine of 45, it's root 2 over 2 squared. Alright, this multiplying in, if you multiply them out, you're gonna have 3 divided by 6 multiplied by that will be 4 divided by 2. And then this, it's negative actually there. Then this, it will give you negative 1 as an answer. Alright, the first thing that you must do when you are dealing with trigonometric, all questions on trigonometry, the thing that you must do is to always draw your Cartesian plane down, so that you can see which trigonometry is positive at which quadrant, and also what angles are involved there. Then after that, like for this one, you know that a sine of negative theta is negative sine theta is an answer. It only becomes a positive when it's a cos of negative theta, of which the answer will be negative, will still be, sorry, a positive cos theta. Then from there, you can use any number for this one, as long as when you add or subtract those numbers, they must give you a 210. Like for this one, 180 plus 30 it will give you 210. But the same way, even if you use 270 minus 60, it will still give you the 210. And for this one, you can use 90 plus 45, of which it will give you 135. And you can still use 180 minus, okay, I'm not sure minus what, but then it will still give you an answer. Then that means even if you use different numbers, as long as it gets you to the right answer, then it's okay. All right, guys, let's do one more last question. Let's do one more last question, and then that will be it. All right, this question, it says root 2 tan 150 multiplied by cos 225 multiplied by a sine of 240. A sine of 240. All right, and then starting from this one, a sine of a root 2. For tan, we're going to have tan of 180 minus 30, of which will give us 150. And when it comes to cos, we're going to have a cos of 180 plus 45 multiplied by a sine of 240 is the same way if we say a sine of 270 minus 30, of which it will give us 240. And then the next step, we're going to have root 2 multiplied by a tan of 180 minus 30. It's negative tan because it's in the second quadrant. That means now we're going to have negative tan 30, of which this is the negative. I've just written it here. And then cos of 180 plus 45 is also negative. Then it will make this one positive this time. And then we're going to have a negative cos of 45. And then with a sine of 270 minus 30, it's also negative. But this time it will change a sine to cos because it's a cofunction. Then here we're going to have this will change again. It will be negative again because of the negative in 270 minus 30. Then it will be negative cos 30. Alright, and then moving forward, according to special angles, tan of 30, it's equals to, tan of 30 is the same as root 3 over 3. That's the tan of 30 for the first special angles. And the cos of 45 is the same as root 2 over 2. And the sine and the cos of 30, and the cos of 30 for special angles is the same as root 3 over 2. Alright, and then moving forward, we're going to multiply out this, multiply with that. It will give us 2 multiplied by this, multiply with that. It will be 6, it will be 3. Divide by 3 multiplied by 2, which will be 6, multiplied by 2, which will be 12. Alright, and then 6 divided by 12, which is also negative. Remember this negative here, of which it will be negative 1 over 2. Alright, the answer is negative 1 over 2. You see how we manipulate the answer, the numbers around. Even for this one, you can still use 180 plus 60 for this one. For 240, you can use 180 plus 60, of which it will give you that answer. And then for 225, you can still use 270 minus something. And then even for this one, you can use 90 plus whatever number that will give you 145, as long as you get to the final answer, guys. Alright, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Please don't forget to subscribe to Maths XYZ so that you can get daily notification when we upload videos. Thank you.